They smile, they laugh, they even bring you coffee. But behind that perfectly pleasant facade, a storm is brewing, and you have no idea you're the target. Sounds like something out of a thriller movie, right? But here's the twist. This isn't fiction. It's frighteningly real. See, the most dangerous person in the room isn't always the one throwing shade or glaring from across the table. It's the one who plays nice, too nice. The one who compliments you, supports you, and watches every move you make, but not with admiration. With intent, dark intent, while you're busy second-guessing yourself. They're gathering data, building a profile, and quietly removing obstacles. Namely, you. Chilling? Yes. But ignorance is even scarier. Because the truth is, hatred screams, but calculated malice? It whispers. It wears designer smiles, filters of politeness, and the illusion of friendship. That's why so many people don't recognize the danger until they're neck deep in consequences. And by then, it's often too late. This video isn't about stirring fear. It's about sharpening your instincts, arming you with awareness. We're diving into 5 disturbingly overlooked signs that someone doesn't just dislike you, they want you gone. Not just out of their life, out of the picture, permanently. These aren't just gut feelings or TikTok drama. These are real behavioral patterns, grounded in psychology, and spotting them could literally be a matter of life and death. So do yourself a favor. Hit that subscribe button right now. Because after today, you'll never look at friendly the same way again. Let's start with one of the most disturbing warning signs of all, the silent observer. This isn't your average social media lurker or office gossip who's just nosy. This is something far more chilling, intentional, methodical, dangerous. These people don't just watch you, they track you. They memorize your routines. They know where you'll be and when, often before you even realize your own habits. It's subtle, so subtle that most of us brush it off as coincidence. But ask yourself, why is that person always at the same coffee shop? At the same time as you? Why do they seem to know your schedule better than your friends do? This kind of calculated observation isn't passive. It's predatory. Think of it as psychological reconnaissance, quiet, controlled, and unnervingly precise. I once heard a story about a woman named Christine, a mid-level manager, smart and grounded. After a breakup, she started noticing her ex showing up everywhere. At her new gym, on her route to work, even at random stores she'd never mentioned. No words, no drama, just a silent presence that felt off. Her friends shrugged it off as harmless. Just an obsessed ex who couldn't move on. But Christine knew something was wrong. This wasn't longing, it was planning. She changed her schedule, changed her gym, changed everything. But he always found her again. What people thought was obsession was premeditation. This isn't about closure, it's about control. It's about knowing every variable before making a move. And the scariest part? It often hides behind silence and smiles. Even ancient philosophers like Epictetus warned, never assume appearances are harmless. So now that you've met the silent observer, let's move to the next sign, one that hides in plain sight, and often feels like a compliment. As mentioned before, not all threats come with loud voices or obvious actions. Some just watch quietly and wait for the moment you let your guard down. But there's something even more unsettling. When someone doesn't just want to control you, they want to isolate you from everyone who supports you. The philosopher Epictetus once taught, a wise person is not only cautious of others but vigilant in protecting their inner peace. And when something, or someone, disrupts that peace, especially someone who shows up too often, knows too much, and for no clear reason, it's time to investigate, not excuse. We live in a hyper-connected world. Surveillance doesn't need a van parked outside your house anymore. All it takes is a social media account, a few mutual friends, and routines you don't guard closely enough. That's more than enough for someone to quietly track you without you ever noticing. The most dangerous people aren't the ones who scream at you in public. They're the ones who smile politely while mentally taking note of your every move. This isn't about paranoia, it's about discernment. The Stoics believed, wisdom begins with clear observation and ends with decisive action. So, if someone keeps showing up in your life repeatedly, and you never invited them in, that's not fate. That's a warning sign. Notice the patterns, question the coincidences, and above all, trust your instincts. That discomfort you feel, it's not overthinking, it's a message. If your soul feels uneasy, don't silence it, honor it, because sometimes, the scariest people aren't the ones who shout at you. They're the ones who study you in silence, waiting for the moment you stop paying attention. Now comes sign 2, the saboteur strategy. Here's a disturbing truth. Studies in social psychology show that when someone hears a lie about another person, even if that lie is later proven false, their perception of that person is still negatively impacted. That's how powerful suggestion is. And that's exactly what makes the saboteur strategy so dangerous. When someone wants more than just to see you suffer, when their goal is to leave you isolated and broken, they don't just attack you. They launch a campaign against your entire support system, your friends, colleagues, even your family. This isn't petty gossip. This is a deliberate character assassination, waged quietly and with precision. Every move has a purpose, and by the time you realize what's happening, the damage is already done. They move like shadows, whispering in just the right ears at just the right times. To your boss, they subtly imply you're unreliable. To your friends, they suggest you've changed or become toxic. They never make a direct accusation. That would be too obvious. Instead, they plant seeds of doubt, suspicion, and misunderstanding. Because each event seems isolated, each conversation unrelated, no one sees the full picture. Not even you. You might start doubting your own stability. After all, why is everything falling apart at once? That's the core of this strategy, calculated fragmentation. These people don't act out of impulse. They act with intention. They engineer conflicts to make you look unstable. They pull strings behind the scenes to discredit you in both professional and personal spaces. Worse, they often pose as victims, or worse, as concerned friends, while quietly unraveling the trust others once had in you. Their true goal isn't just to damage your image, it's to cut off your lifelines, so that when they finally strike hardest, you're standing alone. From a Stoic perspective, this tactic is especially toxic, because it strikes at the very thing Stoicism urges us to build and protect: inner stability and meaningful relationships. Ready for the third sign? It's even more subtle and far more dangerous. Continuing from the second sign, where destruction moves silently in the shadows, comes a far more dangerous and deceptive threat. This time, your enemy isn't across from you. They're sitting right beside you, wearing the mask of a friend. But before we explore that, remember this powerful truth the Stoics held sacred: inner strength must be anchored by rational clarity. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." But when a saboteur is at work behind the scenes, that obstacle no longer becomes a teacher. It becomes a toxic fog, blinding your path forward. If you're not careful, you stop reflecting and start reacting. You get pulled into emotional whirlpools, defending yourself, explaining your actions, trying to clear your name. And the cruel irony? The more you speak, the more suspicious you appear. That's why awareness is your first line of defense. Don't chase every whisper. Don't let your energy be drained by rumors. Instead, anchor yourself in evidence. Hold onto your integrity, yes, but also protect yourself strategically. Keep records, save emails, messages, note timelines and interactions. Keep your truth sharp, your boundaries intentional, and your inner circle curated with care. Most importantly, Remember what both Stoic wisdom and scripture remind us. True character is revealed not in moments of chaos, but over time. People might be swayed by gossip for a while, but truth, like the soul, has a way of enduring. So if you sense a shadow always lurking near your conflicts, always present, never named, it's time to stop giving them the benefit of the doubt. Because you're not just facing a manipulator, you're standing toe to toe with a strategist of destruction. And the first step to winning that battle? Refusing to play their game. Sign 3. The false friend facade. This is where things take an especially dark turn. This may be the most deceptive and dangerous sign of all. Someone doesn't just secretly dislike you, they may be quietly planning your downfall. This tactic isn't new. In fact, it's one of the oldest strategies in human history, and yet, still one of the hardest to detect because it hides behind kindness. We're taught from an early age that kindness is always a virtue. That warmth and attention are signs of loyalty. But when someone suddenly shifts from a distant acquaintance to an overly invested friend, with no clear history or emotional reason behind it, it's time to pay attention. Not celebrate. They're not trying to earn your trust. They're trying to gain access. What looks like care is often a carefully crafted performance. They begin asking detailed questions about your schedule, your relationships, your fears, even your past traumas, but they're not trying to help you heal. They're collecting data. They grow close to your family, start showing up at your workplace, maybe even offer to help with errands or personal matters. But their goal isn't to support you. It's surveillance, and every secret you share becomes a tool in their toolbox. Another pressure point they can use. Another vulnerability to exploit. What makes this tactic so dangerous is that it feels good at first. Someone finally sees you. Someone's listening, understanding, offering help. But behind that comforting presence is a cold, calculated mind, mapping your world with the precision of a surgeon. They're not building friendship. They're designing a blueprint to your softest spots. From a Stoic lens, this is chilling. Seneca warned, "A friend is someone you trust with your soul." But trust must be earned, not given freely to anyone who smiles and listens. The Stoics taught that discernment, wise restraint, is the key to emotional safety. In the last sign, we unmask the false friend, the one who approaches with warmth but secretly gathers your vulnerabilities. But it doesn't stop there. Sometimes, the danger escalates in a far more silent and chilling way. Imagine this. Someone suddenly enters your life. Their interest feels overwhelming, too intense, too fast, too personal, and then, you begin to wonder, what do they really want from me? It's easy to confuse familiarity with true friendship. And predators? They know that trick well. They mimic your tone, mirror your emotions, even sprinkle in vulnerable stories of their own, just enough to make you feel seen. Meanwhile, they're mentally storing everything you share, like a spy building a target profile. The most disturbing part? Because they're cloaked in charm and empathy. No one, not even you, suspects a thing until it's too late. So, what should you do? Slow it down. Don't rush into connection. Protect your privacy as if your peace depends on it, because it does. Ask yourself, why is this person suddenly interested in parts of your life they've never cared about before? True friendship takes time to build, but sabotage? It thrives in speed. Trust isn't just about who makes you feel safe. It's about who keeps you safe when you're not looking. The false friend doesn't only want your loyalty, they want your weaknesses. And once they've gathered enough, they'll know exactly where to strike. So yes, be kind, be warm, but be wise. Because when evil wears a friendly face, it isn't connection, it's camouflage. Sign 4. Escalating aggression. The fourth deadly sign, and one of the most horrifyingly overlooked, is something I call calculated escalation. When someone harbors intentions darker than hate, they rarely start with open violence. Instead, They test the waters, slowly conditioning you to accept behavior that becomes more disturbing over time. It often starts subtly. Offhand jokes with unsettling undertones. Comments like, "I could kill you right now," followed by a laugh, or casual mentions of violence meant to sound edgy or funny. Make no mistake, these aren't just tasteless jokes. They're deliberate probes, tools to measure your fear and test your boundaries. Let me tell you a real story that still chills even veteran investigators. In 2016, a young woman named Leah moved into a new apartment complex after landing her first job out of college. There, she met Adam, a neighbor who seemed a little awkward, but friendly enough. Over time, Adam began hanging around more. He'd help her with groceries, ride the elevator with her, ask oddly specific questions about her daily routines. Then one day, at a small building cookout, he made a strange but seemingly harmless remark. He joked that he'd be the perfect killer because he knew how to get rid of evidence. Everyone laughed. Leah, slightly unsettled, brushed it off, but things began to change. Adam started getting physically closer, too close. He'd appear in the hallway exactly as Leah left for work, brushing past her shoulder without apology. He once blocked her apartment door, saying he needed to talk. Then came the moment that changed everything. One evening, Leah found a hunting knife laid neatly on her doormat. No note, no explanation, just a silent, chilling message. When she reported it, the authorities initially dismissed it as a prank. But Leah didn't. She installed a camera, changed her locks, and began documenting everything. Within a month, the camera captured footage. Adam, trying to pick her lock at 2 a.m., wearing gloves and holding what appeared to be a black duffel bag. This is how darkness moves. It rarely storms in. It escalates quietly, until danger feels almost normal. In the previous section, we uncovered a chilling truth. Danger rarely arrives with a warning. It creeps in slowly, wearing the mask of familiarity, until that mask finally falls. When Adam was arrested, police discovered a detailed journal that sent shivers down the spines of investigators. Inside, he had mapped out Leah's every move, her favorite places, her daily routines, and marked one page with a chilling phrase, "Execution window." This is the terrifying reality. Those with violent intentions rarely show their hand right away. They begin with what seems harmless, an offhand joke, a gentle nudge, a prolonged stare. Each move is part of a psychological script, designed to numb your instincts and lower your defenses. Have you ever laughed off a disturbing comment just because the person seemed harmless? That false sense of safety is exactly what predators count on. The ancient Stoics warned us not to fear evil, but to stay aware of it. Seneca once wrote, "He who is forewarned is forearmed." So if someone in your life regularly crosses the line, then laughs it off like it's nothing, pay attention. If their jokes are laced with hidden threats, if they keep testing your physical boundaries, if it feels like they're studying your reactions instead of genuinely connecting with you, that's not a personality trait. That's a red flag, and ignoring it may cost you more than your peace of mind. It may cost you your life. Sign 5. The patient predator. Now we arrive at the 5th, and without question, the most dangerous sign that someone may want to harm you, the patient predator. This isn't the person who lashes out in anger. This isn't the one who leaves threatening notes or behaves erratically. No, this is the coldest kind of enemy. The one who hides behind time. Their weapon isn't rage, it's patience. These people don't seek impulsive revenge or heated confrontation. They play what the Stoics called the long game. A game where every move is calculated, rehearsed, and perfectly timed. They can wait for months, even years, until the moment you finally let your guard down. What makes them so terrifying isn't what they do. It's how normal they seem. They don't raise alarms. They raise trust. They ask about your future plans. Not out of care, but out of strategy. They want to know when you'll be out of town, when you'll be moving, when you'll be alone. Every conversation is a data gathering session. Every favor they offer, every bond they build, it's all part of crafting a false sense of security. They might be your reliable coworker, your helpful neighbor who waters your plants, or that friend who remembers your birthday better than your own family. But behind that calm exterior lies someone rehearsing the perfect betrayal. Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, warned that our greatest danger doesn't come from what we see, but from what we overlook when we assume the world is fair. He said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." But when you're dealing with someone who wears a perfect mask, what you see is crafted to deceive. Their kindness is bait. Their life is a performance. And the scariest part? These people rarely make mistakes, they wait for your mistake. For that one moment when your routine changes, when your support system weakens, when your defenses drop, that's when they strike. And because you trusted them, you never saw it coming. We just talked about the patient predator, the wolf in sheep's clothing, quietly waiting for your guard to drop. So now the question is, what can you do? First and foremost, be slow to hand out deep trust, especially to those who seem to rush emotional closeness without a clear reason. It's easy to be swept up in someone's friendliness or early kindness. But you must keep a protective layer around your inner world. Guard your plans. Small details like when you'll be traveling or when you're home alone might seem harmless, but in the wrong hands, they can become tools for harm. Keep your boundaries sacred. Yes, you can be kind, but never confuse kindness with granting unlimited access. You need to stay alert, even when everything seems fine. Especially when everything seems fine. Because that quiet, it might just be the calm before the storm. And now, let's be brutally honest. If someone came to mind while watching this video, don't brush that feeling aside. Don't convince yourself that you're overthinking. Because if you've seen signs of the silent observer, the saboteur, the fake friend, the escalating aggressor, or the patient predator, you're not just dealing with negativity. You might be standing in the crosshairs of something far more dangerous. So before this video ends, I want you to do two things. First, save this video. There might come a day when your instincts start whispering again, and you'll want to revisit these signs. Second, watch the next video on how to spot covert narcissists, because these 5 deadly tactics often go hand in hand with highly manipulative personality types. Remember, knowledge is your first shield, but action is what keeps you alive. Stay alert, stay guarded, and above all, stay alive. Let's be real, if your gut has been quietly telling you something's off, this video probably just gave you the confirmation you didn't want but desperately needed. These 5 signs? They're not about drama. They're about survival. Because someone who simply dislikes you might roll their eyes, but someone who wants you gone will observe, sabotage, pretend to be a friend, escalate, and wait. That's not petty. That's predatory. And if one particular nice person suddenly came to mind, the one who's always a little too thoughtful, a little too involved, don't ignore that feeling. Your instincts exist for a reason. As the old saying goes, the devil doesn't come dressed in horns. He comes wrapped in everything you ever wanted to trust. If this video hit a little too close to home, do 2 things right now. Subscribe to this channel, so you're always one step ahead of the game. Share this with someone who might still be in the dark, because while knowledge is your first line of defense, sharing it might just save someone's life. Stay sharp, stay safe, and remember, it's not paranoia if they're actually planning your downfall. Trust wisely, and I'll see you in the next one.